Speaking of BMW, when was the first time you rode in a car?
When I was in a car,
Yeah.
Uncle Arthur's was a veterinarian, and he had a Volkswagen.
Okay.
So he had come and visited us, and that's where we, I guess, got our first car ride.
So I'm guessing that was either before the war or early in the war.
That was before 41.
Okay. Before the war came to y'all.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay. Let me see.
But that I remember only once that.
Uh-huh. See real quickly what time it is. It's 11:30. I think we were already discussing that. So, from your farm back at Pompeii, do you have a memory of any of the senses? So, like any sights, smells, sounds,
Well,
touches, or
we
tastes?
lived on a farm. In the spring, there was always a lot. Our chokecherry were blooming. That was one of the early spring signs.
Uh-huh.
They were back of the house. Like underneath were the red currants. Yeah,
Yes.
red currants. The black currants were in our garden. They're quite different.
Uh-huh.
And then had apple trees and cherry trees.
Did smells come off of those? Was it like a fragrant smell from those, or was it more?
The linden tree was really the one that was the most enjoyable, because those smell nice even here. Yeah. So, and those were for smell, nature, that was the best. Otherwise, you get the strawberries, the wild ones, they smelled very nice and tasted much better than the garden ones.
Uh-huh.
They're much sweeter, they're small, but they're good.
Uh-huh.
And also the blueberries are not the ones that we get here. The blueberries in Latvia are the ones that are down on the ground.
Okay.
And same thing in Canada. There's blueberries that are yay far on the ground,
Uh-huh.
and there's the ones that go in bushes yay tall. But then the commercial ones are, people's heights berries.
Oh.
And the taste it is not there.
Gotcha. It's almost like the flavor gets compacted when
And
it's smaller.
in my memory, there is, I don't know what the berry was, but we were going, I don't remember who the we were either. There was me and possibly Ivers, and we were going along the edge of the forest. And the edge of the forest was not our property, but the neighbors next to us. This is Hartman Cemetery, these neighbors. And there was a orangey yellow berry that looked like a raspberry, that, it's lumps. And I picked it and ate it, and it was yummy. It was sweet, but that's only one of its kind I had seen or eaten. So I can't tell you what it was.
Oh.
Otherwise, in our garden, we had also strawberries, and raspberries, black currants, red currants, apples, cherries, but we did not have a pear tree. And before we left, we had planted an orchard that had pears and apples, but they never made it.
Yeah.
The yellow apples were behind the house.
Uh-huh.
In our front yard, there was a cherry tree, but then farther into the barn there was red apples and green sour apples, green apples. Of course, those are for pies.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, granny apples aren't that tasty. They're delicious. The kind of sweet apples is much tastier.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then the yellow ones were, I don't know, they were sweet. And there were 2 of those. And then grandfather's garden, he partook of tobacco, so he also raised tobacco.
Oh.
And also on the end of his house grew hops.
Okay,
That way it could flavor your beer
beer, yeah.
appropriately. But along their fence were only cherry trees. And that's also where horseradish grew, but carrots and what other veggies,
Here's a question. I know
radishes, they were in both gardens.
over here, Papa loved drinking his wormwood tea. And I wonder, did your parents have an affinity for that? And I'm wondering if there's a backstory to that.
Yeah,
Wormwood was what he had here, but I was
Yeah.
wondering if it was something else.
It's there's a plant over here that's also bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in our case, the major tea that was drunk is, I don't remember the Latvian names, and because you don't use it,
Yeah.
and it's the little white flowers in the bunch, but their heads are thick.
Was that chamomile?
No,
No.
they're also chamomile tea
Yeah.
that we had, and linden blossom tea.
Linden blossom tea. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
In fact, there might be some still from up to 9 years old in the cabinet. From Latvia.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Try it, see if it's
Still good.
not totally dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, chamomile is standard.
Yeah.
And mint tea,
Yeah.
then various black currant tea. But I can't remember if it was just the berries got used, if any more of the plant got used.
Oh. Yeah.
Also, apple peelings got dried and
Oh.
used for tea.
Yeah.
Of course, apples got dried.
Did y'all peel apples before eating them, or just?
Usually not.
I was just about to say, that to me is foreign, but
Yeah. Yeah. If you are in competition with a worm, you usually let him have his part. You ate your part.
oh yeah,
He beat you to it.
yes.
But otherwise, that was. What did we? I remember storing apples in the basement,
Uh-huh.
that they were laid out. Where in Nebraska, we put also apples in volume. And the reason we had apples in Nebraska because the Allens had a apple orchard in Colorado,
Okay.
which his sister, her family, no, her Knights, she was a Knight. Anyway, in the Allen family, it transferred over
Gotcha.
at some point. And several times we drove there to haul back either cherries or peaches.
Mm-hmm.
But those were the two things that went to Nebraska from Peonia, Colorado.
Uh-huh.
But seems like some of the things that he hauled back weren't necessarily theirs. They got it where all the farmers got together. It was sort of a orchard collection. I don't know what you call it. Because maybe there was not enough what they had to fill up a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So hauled back delicious and Rome apples. The Romes are for pies and delicious for eating. But something like 50 bushels went in the basement and filled
Oh,
up
wow. Yeah.
filled up the dark room,
Yes.
and they didn't go bad. Okay? And
Root cellar. Something
no,
that.
that was not. It
That
was
was-
the basement of the
But
building. There
but it
also-
was effectively a root cellar.
There was a root cellar in which it was a root. What the heck? It was a white root.
Uh-huh.
It was not that yummy. I
Oh.
like potatoes better. Yeah.
Like parsnips or.
Something like that.
Okay.
Parsnips or
There you
rutabagas.
go.
I can't remember what all. Yeah. Because then also potatoes got hauled down there. In Latvia, potatoes were stored. You dig a pit, line it with straw, you dump the potatoes there, you put straw on top, you put dirt on top of that.
You put what on top?
Dirt.
Dirt. Okay.
That's what it
Oh.
was.
And they kept.
And they stayed during the winter.
Yeah.
I don't know how much got stolen before winter got there, because that was not my problem. Somebody else took care of the food. Yeah, I just remembered, digging and helping in filling,
Yes.
and then in Nebraska, the neighbors they grew potatoes. Of course, then they were in a potato cellar. And in the potato cellar, they live in bags.
Okay.
And every once in a while, you run the bags through a sorter, picking out the bagged ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helping a distant neighbor when I was in high school. That's where I hurt my back first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's kept me out of the Army, gave me a 4F.
Oh.
So I could
Oh.
go to school. So I didn't object to that.
So did you try to enlist in the army?
No.
Or was this during draft?
This was draft. It
Okay.
kept me out of the draft.
Yes. Good.
I guess the Vietnam draft.
Okay. I was just trying to figure out which one. That makes sense.
So, But when I was pulling 100-pound sacks of potatoes off a pile and then bringing them over to the sorter, which then they again went back in a sack. I pulled it too far, but I hung on the potato. Then something went,
And that was your back?
and ouched. Yeah,
And that was in Nebraska.
that was in Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't. I was walking around. Went to the doctor and let him know they didn't have to do anything. So
I know that there was a time, and I don't know if this was similar to you. I was sleeping on a new bed. It was after the tree hit our house, and we had to move into an apartment, and we got a new bed, and my back after a few weeks started hurting, and the doctor just ended up telling me, here, start taking calcium, start taking glucosamine, and do these exercises. And so I did all of those, and it got better. Never completely back, but I don't really have back pains to speak of. Was yours?
I guess they quote went away. I drove the tractor, and the tractor has very good, soft, easy suspension. You're standing on it. But I was.
Or has it given you grief a lot?
Well, it has later, sometimes when I was in graduate school days, and they just start hurting. And like I reached over once to open a drawer.
Oh.
That's it.
Yeah.
We had a air conditioner, and before we just moved to Gaithersburg, and we were living from where we moved to Gaithersburg.
Yeah.
And we had it because when we lived up in the in the apartments.
Yeah.
On St. Paul Street. That's where we got it. But then in the house, I guess we didn't need it. She already had one, I don't know. But so somebody said, okay, bring it over, I'll take a look at it, so we're going to buy it. And so Barbara and I were carrying it, and we got to the door, and there was a step, and at that door my back gave out. And Barbara then was blessed with having to figure out how to get it back in the house by herself.
Yes.
And
then how to get you?
She took the rug and put it on there, and I told her what to do, and she did. I did the physics, and she did the labor.
You developed the plan, and she implemented it.
So that she didn't have to lift more than half.
Yes.
Because she could do that. So it went back in the house, and then whoever wanted said no, and we brought it with us to Gaithersburg, and I don't remember who we gave it to eventually. What happened to it?
Somebody got it.
Yeah, Barbara probably remembers, but I didn't care anymore. Because then we had, in the apartment there was air conditioning, and these are the, let's see, when you turned off a Stedwick, and then there is the next light. When you're at the next light, the set apartments to your left, down in those, that's where we moved to. And from there, we moved to the townhouses, from that light again to your left, but those are the townhouses.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the next entrance, Seneca, at Stedwick Drive instead of Sedgwick Road. And from that townhouse, we moved to here. So we didn't move very far, half a mile.
That makes sense.
So we've been in the same neighborhood since July of '70.
So over 50 years.
Yep. Been in the same place.
Yeah.
Same phone number.
I've moved around some,
Yeah.
not horribly far. I one time measured, I can't remember specifically, but I one time measured the distance that y'all went through. Like, and it was more or less starting with Mom, so from Vianude to Papai, and then when y'all left and went through Liepaja and over into Poland and Germany and eventually Ingolstadt, and I want to say it was 3,000 something miles.
Oh, I don't know. Because how we got from Danzig to Brandenburg, I guess we were taken by a truck.
Uh-huh.
But that transfer, I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
I remember being inside of Brandenburg, inside the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Then in Brandenburg, we got to go to a public bath.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many minutes, and I got done before I could have taken more time, but
Mm-hmm.
but that was the first bath in quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then from the Brandenburg, they shipped us east to Kistrin,
Uh-huh.
or there. It's actually, there was a village outside of Kistrin. Kistrin was a bigger place.
What was the name of the village?
I'll have to.
Okay.
This is the place. See, again, we were not in it. We were outside of it. That's where your mother got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that location. And of course, then we walked to Berlin. But your mother, when we got to Seelaw, your mother got put on a train. So
Yes.
she had different transportation.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's how she got to Kempton.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to Berlin, where then in some days we took a train, and I presume, I don't know what your grandmother or grandparents were told.
Yeah.
I have, how they're going to find your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they seem to have a goal somehow, something, somebody knew information I knew nothing about. So.
Yeah, I've sometimes wondered how they met, how they contacted or met up with
Same thing
Laius
about,
Myers.
Same with Adolf's, and beats the daylights out of me. Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we were on train. When the train didn't run anymore, we picked up our bags and we walked.
Do you remember what y'all did for money?
Mother had war money that the Germans had given us. Mm-hmm. Or, I don't know, she had traded in, I don't know. And that worked as money. I don't know what your grandfather had, but that's what Mother had.
So you said it was war money?
Well, it was Germans, money that Germans had.
And I'm guessing she got it from either selling something or
Well, I don't know.
work
This
or
came
something.
from, I think came out of Latvia.
Uh-huh.
She and
When the Germans were still
well,
controlling things,
while
yeah.
we were still in our house. And
Yes.
during that time, somehow, she and because
Okay.
I don't know any other place she could have gotten it.
Yeah.
Because once we got to Leopold, then the banking system I don't think is that.
And I kind of was
Yeah.
wondering, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
you get on the trains?
Yeah.
Do they just let
Yeah.
anybody on, or do you
Yeah.
have to pay for tickets, or?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I should have some of that still in the house upstairs.
Some of the money?
Yeah,
Oh.
it was still.
If you do, I'd love to take a picture of it.
Might even give you some.
Very, very little. That's
No,
dear.
This is paper money.
Yeah.
But there was money. See, it's a subject that at the time was not important to me, but there was money.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were marks.
And I
When
kind
we
of
were in
wonder
camp-
if you ended up getting paid.
when-
Your mother or Jacobs maybe got paid
For what?
when they did work for, like at the greenhouse or
No,
whatever.
I presume that it was short enough. I think we wound up being there only for a few weeks,
Okay.
and
I guess having a place to not run away from was the payment. That plus food
okay,
could have been.
yeah. Because then when the German escapees went through, the Germans themselves were getting away from the Russians.
Yes.
I don't know what the Germans ate. I know that for a while, Ivers and I went into town with a wagon that had a pot on it, and we brought soup out to the people.
Was that in
This is
Ingolstadt?
no. We're talking about this place where your
Where mine was shot.
Yeah, where your mother
Yeah,
was.
yeah. Kestrin area.
Kistrin area.
Yeah, Kestrin.
In fact, it might be informative for you that we go upstairs and look on the computer at space shot.
Oh, Google
Yeah,
Maps?
Google Maps.
Yes.
Yeah. So that you can have sort of a head picture a little bit.
Okay.
You know.
You want to do that? I know it's almost noon. You want to do that after lunch?
We can do that after lunch.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess we can quit now, and I'll go upstairs and see if anybody's left me any messages
Okay.
on the computer that show up or will.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's.
Unplug. Yeah, this is a little bit less of a ordeal than yesterday. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie.